As you may have heard, 2 National Guard troops were just shot in Washington, D.C. We don't know their exact condition yet, but we do know this. I'm going to tell you what no mainstream media is prepared to tell you. This is 100% Donald Trump's fault. Case closed, end of story, and here's why. These National Guard troops wouldn't even be there in that position if it wasn't for Donald Trump's unconstitutional, unlawful deployment of American troops to a U.S. city to stand around as targets while Trump expresses violent rhetoric on the daily, calling Democrats the enemy within, saying anybody who didn't vote MAGA is a domestic terrorist, they're Antifa. Of course, you have some lunatic lash out and try to be a hero and go after these National Guard troops. It's not their fault. It's Donald Trump's fault. He put them in that situation. He wants them to be targets. He wants our military to be slain so he can use it as an excuse to crack down on the rest of the country.
This is breaking right now. We can confirm now 2 National Guard troops have been shot in Washington near the White House is what we are told. We do not know about their conditions at this time. We are just starting to get brand new details, but we can confirm 2 military personnel have been shot near the White House.
So Charlie Kirk was right. When people stop talking, that's when violence occurs, and we have seen nothing but that the past couple of months in our country. Obviously, we lost Charlie almost a little over 2 months ago, and there has been nothing but chaos and violence since, but not from the side that you think it would come from. No. See, our side, we came together, and we went to church, and we did peaceful gatherings. But the left continues to cite nothing but violence and chaos in our country. And they blame it all on President Donald Trump. But it's really them. It is them. They are the ones causing this chaos and division in our country. And they cry about gun laws and they cry about gun control. But we can only assume that it was yet again an act of violence on the side of the left because 2 National Guard personnel were killed today. And it's the left that screams up and down about National Guard getting deployed into the cities. It's not the right, no. See, we want the crime and chaos to stop. We want our cities to be safe. We want our streets to be safe. We want our country to blossom and prosper. It is the left who wants to see America burn down to the ground because they hate Donald Trump. It is the left that decided to celebrate an assassination in our country, not the right. So, if you are still aligning with the left, if you are still standing with the left, I think it's time for you to wake up, look in the mirror, and see which side you want to be on. I don't know what else that these crazy, deranged, disgusting human beings want to be.
Just so we can lay all the facts out there, here we go. This afternoon, 2 National Guardsmen are shot and critically injured 2 blocks away from the White House. There is a suspect who is also injured who is in custody. Then we learn that these 2 individuals, the National Guardsmen, are deceased, that they have moved their status from critically injured to deceased. And then 30 minutes after that, we learn that maybe they're not deceased, maybe they are just critically injured. All of this chaos is going on. Donald Trump is requesting 500 more National Guardsmen to be deployed in D.C. because he's a scared, whiny baby. I don't know. These people did not need to be injured and or killed because there is no need for the National Guard to be there. And then, about an hour after all of this craziness goes down, this was around 5 p.m. East Coast time today, Donald Trump is talking about Honduras and the upcoming elections. And it's a novel. I don't even care what it says. He's talking about democracy in Honduras. The American people need their president. They need their leader. As far as we all feel, there is a very dangerous situation, an extremely upsetting situation that happened in our nation's capital of all places today. And we are going to start seeing creators on both the left and the right, as well as the mainstream media on the left and the right, start theorizing about what happened. The right is going to do their normal shtick. It's going to be a leftist lunatic who did it. There will be writing on the bullets. There are, they'll blame transgender people. And then on the left, they're going to start with the conspiracy theories. This was an inside job. This is just to invoke and incite more violence, hoping that two sides will fight each other. And so that this regime can enact the Insurrection Act or martial law. This is what is happening. He created chaos and then moved on to Honduras. Let's just make all of that very clear. So I'm going to ask that we all operate in facts. And the facts are, we are waiting to see this whole entire story unfold. We know that 2 National Guardsmen have at least been critically injured if they are not deceased. And all of that is on Donald Trump's hands because there is no necessity to have National Guardsmen wandering around the streets of Washington, D.C., putting on a show for the president and picking up trash because Doge fired a whole bunch of federal employees. That is the fact of the matter.
All right, let's deal with this. 2 members of the National Guard, as I'm sure you know by now, were ambushed and shot in Washington, D.C. As of this moment, I'm recording this a little after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure what the condition of these 2 guardsmen is. There was some confusion about this. At one point, the governor of West Virginia, these are 2 guardsmen from West Virginia, the governor of West Virginia made a public statement that they had died. He then retracted that statement. It is being reported by the media now that they are in critical condition. FBI Director Kash Patel just addressed the public and said that they were in critical condition. So I guess they are alive and in critical condition. As would be expected, MAGA is making this political, as they do, blaming this all on Democrats, which is absurd. But I want to address one key point that I see some of them making. Here is just one example. This is from Ann Coulter on Twitter, the despicable Ann Coulter. She posted an article that is making the rounds, and she pulled a quote from the article. She writes, "Key point. This attack comes just days after 6 prominent Senate and House Democrats ambiguously claimed in a video that President Trump was forcing the military to break the law." Let's be very clear about Donald Trump's deployment of the National Guard into Washington, D.C. It is illegal. In fact, just days ago, a federal judge ruled that Donald Trump violated the law when he deployed the National Guard into Washington, D.C. The judge put her order on hold for a period of time to allow Trump to appeal that order. But there is a standing order from a federal judge that Trump's deployment in Washington, D.C. of the National Guard is in fact illegal. So to all of these fucking MAGAs who are making a big deal about this video and saying, well, they're accusing the president of acting illegally, and that is what led to these guardsmen being shot. Donald Trump did act illegally. And what Donald Trump did in illegally deploying the National Guard to Washington, D.C., and everywhere else he has done so, is to put a target on their backs. Deployed them for no damn good reason. He deployed them to act like a tough guy. He deployed them to distract from his involvement with his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein. He deployed them to intimidate, harass, and oppress the American people. That's why he did it. That's why he's using the National Guard the way he is. That does a disservice to them, and it's friggin' illegal. And people like Ann fucking Coulter and all of these other people should be angry at Donald Trump for using the National Guard in this way and putting them in harm's way. Because what happens when you use the National Guard in the way that he is? The natural consequence of that is to make people angry. And in a country as big as ours, with as easy access to firearms as we have.
Well, Donald Trump lost again. And get this, today he lost to Hillary Clinton. Now hold on, I'll explain it to you. A while back, Donald Trump and Alina Habba, his lawyer, attempted to sue Hillary Clinton I don't even remember what for. But of course, it was ridiculous. In fact, it was frivolous. So in turn, Hillary Clinton sued Alina Habba and Donald Trump for filing a frivolous lawsuit. Well, of course, she won. Donald Trump and Alina Habba lost. But of course, he appealed it. Well, it just went to the 11th Circuit Court, and they said, nope, you lost. We're not overturning the decision. You owe Hillary Clinton $1 million. So I don't know if it's $1 million for each of them or together, but nonetheless, Donald Trump lost. Alina Habba lost. Hillary Clinton won. Donald Trump must pay her $1 million. So we'll see how he enjoys this. We'll see if he's going to talk some shit on Truth Social or try to appeal this to the Supreme Court. You can't do that. That's not going to happen. He's going to have to pay her $1 million. Now, the only problem is collecting from Donald Trump isn't always easy. But I think if anybody could do it, it would be Hillary.
We didn't vote for this stuff, people. I sure as hell didn't. We voted for him to do better, to fix our economy. We voted for cheaper gas, cheaper food, cheaper insurance. We got none of that. None of that. As a matter of fact, it's higher. It's way higher. And what do we got to say to this idiot to get him to understand we're hurting out here?
The tides have shifted. I have been making, as many of you guys know, these MAGA FAFO videos for almost a year now, ever since Donald Trump got elected. And when I would first make them, in the beginning of this series, if you will, it was filled with a bunch of Trump supporters turning against the MAGA creator. So a MAGA creator would criticize Trump and be like, hey, he's not keeping on his promises. And then they would all fill the comment sections being like, you're a traitor. You just need to give him time. You were never really MAGA. Well, the tides have shifted. Not only have I come across 4 of these MAGA regret videos in the past hour, but the comment sections, completely different tone than a year ago. And I'm going to read some of these comments so that you can see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's flooded with this. I'm not having to pick and choose. This is literally the entirety of this man's comment section. He himself is a MAGA creator. I love Trump, but severely disappointed in him. Nothing changed. No golden age, no relief. It's truly disheartening. I voted for him, but he has let us down. He has sold us out. He's talked a good game, but he is only after the dollar bill. I voted for Trump 3 times. I decided that they are intentionally crashing the economy and starving us. I am a senior. I have never struggled like I am now. I had to put food on a charge card. Trump is such a disappointment. He is doing nothing for Americans. We are not back. I voted for him. I own my own business and my sales have dropped at least 35 to 40% from the last year. And I am in the North Dallas area. People are not spending money like they used to. Things are changing and we're about to see a big blue wave. My name is Mercedes Chandler. Give me a follow or you won't see my face again. Thank you. Goodbye.
Nothing calls attention to a situation than you continuously screaming, "It's not true!" Donald Trump is in decline, and it's not even like political. Looking at him, looking at his condition, looking at how he has changed just since the election, he is on the decline. Now, people in the medical field, the nurses who understand the cankles and all that, they have downgraded him from 4 to 6 months to 3 to 5. Either he's like gone, or he strokes out or something. When this many medical professionals come together and will make a solid call, this isn't like psychic talk with a vague, like I feel like one of 2 teams is going to win the Super Bowl. When this many nurses are like, call it, you'll listen. But the New York Times put together like a compilation of like, Trump is sick and they are not telling us. And it's not just like, maybe we don't know or maybe they're protecting him. It's like visibly in photos, month by month by month, he is declining. You could see that Biden would stumble, but like physically he wasn't getting frailer quite the same way. With Trump, they have photos of him pre-election where his face is like somewhat even. We have pictures of him at 9/11 when he fell asleep and his face felt. That only happens as the result of very specifically accurate bad Botox or a stroke. Twice now, Trump has gone missing for a few hours that they refuse to talk about. He himself has addressed that he has gone for 2 checkups this year with MRIs. And to be clear, I don't care how good your insurance is. They don't put you in an MRI machine unless they know what they're looking for. You don't get full body MRIs just because we want to like have a picture, something for the fridge. Like you go into an MRI and they're like, okay, we're going to look at your eyebrow. You know, we're going to look at your chin. We're going to look like they target an area. You don't get full body MRIs. They were scanning his head because they're tracking his dementia. And that zebra, monkey, horse, elephant test, that's the cognitive test they give people specifically in his condition. That's not to be mean or insulting to anybody in this condition, but the things he's telling us in his test, those are the dementia tests. Those are the questions. He has splints on his legs because like his ankles, legs are weak. He is wearing a stadium buddy on top of the diaper. His like backdoor incontinence is from years of... We know he has the prostate of like a grapefruit. It's what kept him up during his last presidency to like tweet at 3 a.m. But now he has lost like full control and you can see the bag. But you've also been able to see he's wearing like a monitor on his arm. Melania, who we've all seen the photos where she slaps his hand away, doesn't want to hold his hand, now clings to his arm. And if you saw him walk into the helicopter last night, like he turns his head and his body veers. And she, in her like 6-inch stilettos, is like pushing him physically back in line to board the helicopter. He has stopped using the big presidential stairs to get into Air Force One. He now takes the shorter flight of stairs into like the cargo area of Air Force One. And then I guess they let him sit down and then struggle upstairs. That isn't something we've seen presidents do. That's new. Anyway, the New York Times has documented like when you can see shadows through his suit, when you can see like the brace through his legs, when he's been sitting down and his cankles have gotten bigger. Like they started calling him kanks. His kanks have gotten worse. And the New York Times put together these photos to be like, if you guys have another explanation for his Tom Brady level fitness, please let us know. But like they got a couple clips of him like looking around, like he walks into the to the Oval Office and he looks around like it's new. He gets on Air Force One and he like to see where he's supposed to go kind of thing. Like if you've ever walked into a room and you've forgotten what you went in there for kind of thing. He's doing that on a regular basis. Plus we've seen the labeling all over the White House. We have seen them visually try to turn the White House into Mar-a-Lago so it's like a visually recognizable space for him. He spends a lot of time at Mar-a-Lago. I don't just think fundraising, because he can certainly do it at Trump Hotel in DC and save the flight. I think they keep on bringing him back there because it's comfortable for him. Anyway, the New York Times does this whole thing, presents their case of like, here's the photos, here's the videos, here's what people are saying about him, here's what a few medical experts are thinking, and like Trump responds to them a few hours ago and be like, they're lying. Touch your toes and do a jumping jack and tell me who the first 3 presidents of any country were. I can understand it's important for us to have like a clear like leader of our country. You don't want the insecurity of like, you know, is the US in charge right now? But I mean, this wasn't like Joe stuttered during a couple debates. This is like day after day after day. We are watching him decline. Yet he's cutting deals with Saudi Arabia. He has the football. And unfortunately, people in our government listen to him and not other people. So you're thinking like, yeah, nobody would push the button even if Trump said to do it. We've seen what his administration has done despite the fact that it's not legal and they shouldn't be doing it, right? And now he and Melania are going to spend 6 days in Palm Beach. She didn't even spend 24 hours at him with Mar-a-Lago. When he left the White House the last time. She was back with her parents and her boyfriend, allegedly, in under 24 hours. She is now going to be with him in Palm Beach for 6 solid days. That's not a guy who eats turkey. That is not a guy who gives a shit whether or not there's sage in the stuffing. He is taking 6 days off on top of all the other trips he has taken as our president for like personal reasons. He is taking 6 solid days off and screaming on social media about like, how dare you lie? I am the fittest of the fit people. Look, congratulations, you made it. You won. You were president for a second time. With the little remaining time that you have, like, don't you just want to sit around and enjoy it? You really want to get carted around like this? This is like when they walked Dianne Feinstein in to vote, and that woman did not know. And Mitch McConnell at Cheney's funeral seemed like a little bit aware of where he was, it's elder abuse. I don't care where you fall on the political party spectrum. Like, it's elder abuse. And if we're setting this precedent, like, fine, we get another president who's 45 years old, but his body is riddled with cancer. We're going to put up with this. We're going to let them, like, you know, oh no, that's not chemo. That's just 4 IV lines on the pole right behind him. You don't see them. They don't have to be the fittest. They don't have to be the healthiest. They're certainly allowed to get sick, but we deserve just like a touch of truth about what we can all see with our fucking eyes. And Trump losing his shit on social media is...
So the political energies have shifted. I think a lot of you feel that. Where things were fast and furious, moving toward an imminent implosion, they seem slower, quieter, and there's a bit of unease in the air, right? So I decided to tune in today. I got a ton of information. I made a longer video for YouTube, so you can go over, check that out on YouTube, but I'm going to summarize here. Because first of all, I want to let you know that things slowing down, the energy shifting, it's not binary. It's not either or. Either he's going to be on his way out or not. No. It's that the energies have slowed, and that is a good thing. That is a thing, that is a divine timing kind of thing. So the metaphor here is very much like the process of giving birth, in that when the contractions come, this is the energy of bearing down, of pushing, of effort, and it feels fast and intense because it is. But then there are moments of rest and lull, and we get a break and a reprieve. And that's absolutely what this energy is. And this is a really good, really important thing, because as much as we, the awake and aware folk who are done with this shit, as much as we are so ready, we're ready last year, so many more people are waking up by the day, especially because of this new dump of emails. So, and what just everything, gestures broadly. So many more people are waking up, and their energy is really chaotic and unsettled, as it is when you have a rude awakening. So we are being granted this time of peace, of calm, of integration. Really, it's people being able to adjust to what they're just now understanding so that we can stabilize together as a collective. Because remember, in times of transformation, we need a great majority of us to be in unity. And we need that unity to have a little peace, to have the energy be settled and grounded before we can move to that next phase. So that's the energetics, the benefit to the lull right now. There's another energy to this lull, and this is a good one. This is a good one. So when I tuned in and when I asked Spirit, I could see it's like this energy of cloaking, this energy of secrecy. And at first I was a little unsettled because I was like, who's secrecy? Who's plotting? The good guys or the bad guys? And I did get that it's both, but that the bad guy plotting is not very secret. Not very secret. They're terrible villains, aren't they? They are terrible villains. Not only do they tell us everything they're going to do, we already know. They've already told us everything they're going to do. But they're so clumsy and they fail so badly at everything they do. So we're not supposed to worry about what they're doing. They will fight to stay alive. They're throwing people under the bus left and right. I don't know if you've seen, but they're blaming Kristi Noem. They might fire Kash Patel. Like, word on the street is the shit show is now becoming more external. It's not just behind closed doors. They are panicking. So we're not going to worry about what they're plotting because it is not enough to stop what is inevitable. I'll touch on that in my final point. But the good guy plotting, this is the good stuff. So the good guy plotting is absolutely the lawmakers who are now sifting through these thousands, tens of thousands of documents, learning the truth and realizing we need a bigger plan because just the release of the files ain't gonna cut it. We need a plan. And listen, I cannot say for certain, because again, it's cloaked. I don't know for certain what's going on behind the scenes, which is good. We shouldn't all know, okay? Secret plan needs to stay secret so they can execute it. But I do very much get the sense that there is a discussion about, do we move for removal now? Because we know Al Green's been calling for impeachment. We know there's rumblings. And so this secrecy, this privacy is, how seriously do we take this? How many of us do we want to jump on that train? What do we do now that we know? And that we are certain we're going to get more of this. What do we do? So this silence, this eerie silence coming out of DC is a very good thing. Because whether we can see it or not, this means things are moving. Which leads to the final point, which is if they're still deciding, if they're stalling, if the bad guys are putting up a fight, how do we know we're going to get there? How do we know? And the answer is in why so many psychics and intuitives care about this in the first place. And that is because this is not about politics. This is not about whoever is in the White House or who's in DC. This is a divine plan. This is part of ascension, the process of human evolution by which humans evolve. We expand in our consciousness. We change ourselves and thus we change our world. So the old systems are collapsing and it's time for the transition and the ushering in of the new. So what we're seeing here in DC is just the latest version of that. And this is happening everywhere. I get questions all the time. Well, what about this country? What about that country? Every country is going through their version of ascension. And right now what we're dealing with in America is we've had a revelation of our shadows. We've been dealing with the polarity and the problems we've had in this country. I've talked a lot about that. I won't get too much into that here. But the main point to remember here is this is a divine plan. This is not, oh, what will lawmakers decide to do that will affect us all? This is, what is the energy of a population in transition? What does that lead to? What are we manifesting together? And even though I know, again, you could look around, well, MAGA's doing this and they aren't doing that. It's not about that. This is an energy that has been in motion for generations. Beyond generations, this ascension is wheels in motion for millennia, for thousands of years. This is a divine process that cannot be stopped. So even though by the time the energy works its way down into the physical, people have to make decisions, people have to take actions, it gets very slow, it gets very clunky. Parts of it will stall for a minute. We'll have, one step forward, two step back, seemingly on the surface. But the energy of it is eternal, because that energy does not come from the will of the people, it comes from the will of the divine. It is time for humans to evolve. It is time for us to create the new earth. It's time for us to evolve out of patriarchy, close down these old toxic systems, to bring justice to people who are abused and hate, to collapse the entire system that abuses them in the first place. That's why we're even seeing a revelation about the Epstein files. That is so indicative of what's happening everywhere around the world. So even though things feel uncertain and it might feel like things are a little too quiet, although all these things notwithstanding, this is a divine process and we are too far underway for this to go back now. So that's a read of the energies today. It's all I could fit in a short little video here. Like I said, there's a longer one on YouTube. And if you want to know more, it's almost time for my monthly What's Coming Next. So every month I do a live Zoom and we all get together and I tune in and I say, all right, spirit, energy, tell me what's up. What do we need to know? So that's going to be next week. You can sign up for that. If you can't attend live, no big deal. You'll get the replay sent to you so you can listen in your own time. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up. The link for that is found where in my bio.